Hello and welcome to a brief summary of Mozzie, one of the two new Aussie operators added with Operation Burnt Horizon, and some of my thoughts on his gadget and him as an operator. Mozzie is a 2-speed, 2-armored defensive operator whose unique gadget is his pest launcher. Mozzie with his pest launcher has the ability to send out 3 separate pests. These pests look like robotic spiders, and when they land, any attacker drone that drives too near to them will get jumped on and hacked by the pest. Once hacked, Mozzie has the ability to control the drone and move it wherever he wants, scan enemies, and yes, if it is a Twitch drone, he can use its anti-gadget electro bolts. It's worth noting, however, that Mozzie is unable to pick up hacked drones and redeploy them attacker style, so once the drones are hacked, you have to keep them out on the map. Hacked drones appear to defenders with a white outline around the drone, so if you see this, please do refrain from shooting them to avoid your Mozzie's displeasure. Attackers can avoid getting their drones hacked, as when they approach a pest, a warning will appear on their drone's screen, and they can tell a hacked drone apart by its white lights on its front instead of the usual red lights. Moving on to Mozzie's primary options, he has the choice between the Commando 9 assault rifle and the P10 Roni. The Commando is better at longer, more drawn-out engagements with its higher capacity, however the P10 Roni has a much higher fire rate. And in Siege, where headshots are king, higher fire rate weapons typically beat out their lower fire rate counterparts when talking pure lethality. This high lethality of the Roni is balanced, however, by its extremely low capacity. So if you can reliably get your crosshairs over other players' heads, I would recommend the Roni, and if you want more flexibility, especially at range, I would go with the Commando. For secondary options, same as for Gridlock, Mozzie can choose between either the Super Shorty secondary shotgun, which is a hell of a sentence, or the SDP pistol. As mentioned in my Gridlock video, the Super Shorty is an able source of soft destruction, and has brutal damage at close ranges. Sure, it only has a capacity of 3 shots, but those 3 shots can do a whole lot for a defensive team. You can make kill holes in soft walls, open hatches for roamers, break open the floor to get vision into the room below, and, of course, get savage close range kills. The SDP pistol has a higher capacity and, as you would expect, far better damage at long ranges, and the ability to go for headshots at range when your primary runs out of ammo in a fight. On defense, the Super Shorty provides a lot of utility, and so generally I would prefer to have it over the pistol. However, loadouts are very personal preference based, and so definitely go with whatever works for you. In terms of secondary gadgets, Mozzie can come equipped with either barbed wire or a nitro cell, but this choice will probably be based on your current team composition and where on the map you will be playing. So that's a brief summary of his gear and gadgets. What are my thoughts on Mozzie as an operator? In essence, Mozzie is a fusion of Mute and Valkyrie. Like Mute, he provides anti-droning capabilities, as either attacker drones will run into his pests and get hacked, denying the attackers the info directly, or the attacker drones will pay heed to the warning they receive when approaching a pest and avoid that area, which again results in denied info for the attackers. Like Valkyrie, however, once he gets some drones successfully hacked, he gains extra map vision for the defenders. However, what strikes me about Mozzie is how high risk, high reward his gadget is. On the one hand, there's a chance that attacker drones avoid getting hacked, and Mozzie's gadget utility is merely reduced to scaring drones away from specific areas of the map. At this point, you would probably have been better off with a Mute on your team instead of a Mozzie, as at least the Mute brings additional utility in blocking the activation of thermite charges, Hibana pellets, and other similar gadgets. But then in the reverse situation, maybe Mozzie hacks 3 attacker drones, and over the course of the round, provides ongoing vision and information to his fellow defenders, enabling them to avoid deaths and get kills they otherwise might not have gotten. It's also worth noting that when Mozzie's pests hack a drone, not only does the defender team gain a drone, but the attackers lose a drone. This is a massive swing in information from one side to the other. Whereas Valkyrie only gives the defenders information, Mozzie potentially, keyword there, potentially, can both give and deny information. A real all-in-one operator, however, as mentioned, with the risk of his gadget doing very little if the attackers successfully play around it. In terms of his design, he's quite interesting. The fact that he takes utility and information directly away from the attackers by stealing their drones could maybe be seen as a bit of a sort of fundamental issue, really, in how he's designed. The attacking team in Siege has access to 2 drones per player, for a reason of course, as the ability for attackers to scout ahead with their drones and see parts of the defender's setup and positioning is part of what helps balance out the innate advantage defenders have by being able to prepare the map in the preparation phase. This is what we normally think of as defenders' advantage in Siege. With the Mozzie in the match, however, this could drop from 10 drones scouting total for the attackers to potentially 7. Throw in a few drones getting shot early on as well, and suddenly the attacker's ability to play carefully and scout ahead with their drones is taken massively away from them. Pile on top of this the fact that Mozzie gains the attacker's drones, and clearly he is quite powerful with what he can bring to the defender table. However, as a counterpoint to this argument that Mozzie interferes with a fundamental attacker tool, the drone, is the fact that his pests can indeed be played around. After players get used to how Mozzie works, maybe when there's a Mozzie in the match, attackers during the drone phase will play more conservatively with their drones. But as mentioned, this is still a win to some extent for Mozzie, as the attackers are having to play around his drone stealing devices by essentially choosing not to drone specific areas of the map. It's a really interesting situation, with counterplay from both attackers and defenders possible. If attackers stop droning as much in the droning phase, maybe defenders can get away with weirder defensive setups. If the Mozzie places his pests at key doorways to block drone movement through them, maybe attacker movement will have to change in order to enter the map in the area where their drone was actually able to drone around in. And if a Mozzie keeps hold of his pests in the preparation phase, maybe he can bluff attackers and have them not drone the main objective sites for fear of losing their drones, whilst keeping his ability to steal other drones later in the actual match, when attackers are trying to enter the building proper. In short, Mozzie definitely seems strong, if potentially unreliable. I appreciate the ability to play around his pests. However, if the Mozzie just holds on to them and waits until he sees a drone before using them, is there even any counterplay at all? A very interesting operator to be sure, and his great weapon choices make him a blast to play. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.